Okay, special episode here. Now, our guest, I'm going to introduce her in a second. You're going to want to be watching this on YouTube because her room is absolutely beautiful. And her name is Karen Lorre. And Karen, tell me what's going on in the room right now. What do you have going on back there? Because you said it earlier. I think it's great.
Oh, right behind me, I'm just going to move the computer. This is a Tibetan Tonka. That's the goddess of compassion, the white goddess of compassion for Tibet. And it was supposedly hand painted by the master artist to the Dalai Lama, although we're not always sure about that. And then I just have a lot of orchids, and I like, this is a coleus. And that's kind of pretty much what you see.
Yeah, that's cool.
Nice. Do you notice it? I definitely notice it. My wife definitely notices it. I was never into this until we had a really nice nook full of reading and Himalayan salt lamps and all types of cool stuff. Like, I definitely feel like a different vibe when I'm in a room that looks nice. I mean, do you feel it?
Oh, sure. You know, almost everything in my house matches what nature gave me, like my skin tone, my eye color, my hair color. So like this pink is kind of the color my cheeks get or my lips are when they're, you know, like if I'm working out or whatever, if it's just natural, if I don't have makeup on. And like the pillows go with my eye color.
Right on. Yeah.
Yeah, my eyes are blue, but they have a little teal in them.
See, that's stuff we just don't think about. We need help from the other side, if you will. You know, yeah, that's yeah.
Calculated. There is no vestigial piece of equipment or in the room whatsoever. It all has a meaning. So now you're an author, right? So we've been having authors on lately. We both love to read. But now you explain what draws you to writing, what you like to write about, because I don't think a lot of people know about like law of attraction. I think a lot of people think that's dating, you know, like or something like that. And that's not all you write about, but just what do you normally what normally comes to mind when you're just like, I got to write something down? Like what's it usually about?
Well, so I'd say that I have 3 books. So the first book I wrote about was really because I used to have chronic pain. I used to have narcolepsy. I was falling asleep all the time. I used to have, you know, I needed glasses to read. I had depleted adrenals. My thyroid was off, you know, just like not a happy camper. And and then I ended up getting a hand injury where I accidentally severed 3 tendons, and it didn't hurt. Like, it didn't hurt so much that yeah, I couldn't believe it. I was so not hurting that I was going to go to the grocery store to go bicycling with a friend of mine. And my neighbor happened to come over and he goes, "What happened to you?" And I said, "Oh, I got a cut. Do you have a butterfly Band-Aid?" And he goes, "You got to go to the ER."
Right.
No, I don't. And he goes, "You have to go to the ER. If you don't go, I'll make you go. I'll take you myself." And I said, "All right, I'll go." So I had to postpone the biking. And turns out I'd severed these 3 tendons, and he said, "You're going to need at least 10 stitches. I had like 15, I think. But it was fine. You know, I didn't have any pain, which was shocking because all through in the last 15 years, all that chronic pain, the narcolepsy, the depleted adrenals, the eyesight, the hair used to fall out, the eyebrows were thinner, all of that had changed. And when I got this injury, it was kind of like a real confirmation that something had changed so significantly that even when I had a substantial injury, you know, I couldn't use my hand for 10 months. It didn't hurt. So that was the first one. And it was all the stuff I wrote about, all the things I had done to shift my physiology to the point where I don't really feel pain anymore. I used to, but I don't anymore. And so that was the first book. And the second book was a memoir because my publisher wanted me to write it, and it was fun to write it. And I've had kind of a lot of adventure in my life. So that was fun. And then the third book is it's called Chronic Pleasure in Relationships. And that book is for women so that they can elicit the best from men. So those are the books. And then I don't even think about what I'm going to write about. Usually it just starts to flow.
Mhm.
All the books basically felt like I was sort of listening inside to my spirit the whole time I wrote them. And I didn't, it was effortless, if you
Yeah.
will. I mean, there were things I showed up, I did it, but it was listening. I was like, wow, that's really cool. I didn't know that, you know, and I'm just typing it as it's flowing through me.
Yeah.
We're going to get you right back to the episode, but I just wanted to let you guys know of a few other things we offer at Rare Candy Industries. We have a Substack with free and paid subscription options. Free subscribers get access to all written content. That includes Bob's Red Pill. That's the best thing going on the internet right now. Trust me. Paid subscribers get full access to our premium episode feed. And that's just every episode we don't necessarily want to share with the general public, if you know what I'm saying. Again, that's rarecandy.substack.com. We also have merch. That link's a little long for me to say right now, but go to the description, go to our merch store, and find a shirt that's right for you. We have Rare Candy shirts, Dr. Bronner soap label shirts, Rishi mushroom shirts, all types of stuff there. Check it out. There's got to be something for you. And lastly, check us out on social media. On Instagram, we're Rare Candy Pod, but on Twitter, we're at Rare Candy Pod 1. All right, enough of that. Let's get you back into the episode. Interesting. What when you say you don't feel pain? Because I know there's people that are going to be listening to this that maybe aren't living the way that they should be living, but they might think, okay, so what happens if something's too hot and you touch it, right? You know, or just things like that. And I'd like to know, like, what do you think pain is? I guess is a better question. Like, what is pain then? If you're able to not, I know it wasn't as simple as turning the switch off and on, but you know, what do you think it is?
This is so interesting to me. I learned this after I'd had the hand surgery and after I'd had the hand injury. So I was already doing this before I understood the science of it. So let's say this is your brain. I'm looking at my hand here. And if on your brain, let's say the tip of every finger, let's say right there is what are called hedonistic hotspots. They are parts of the brain that are devoted to pleasure. And then let's say in the middle of your palm is your pain center. What most people do when they have pain, and this is what I did for most of my life, is they will look at the pain and keep focusing on the pain and keep focusing on the pain. And the pain center starts to grow so much that it sort of hijacks the pleasure centers. And what I had done without understanding it, I had been focusing on things that gave me pleasure, but it could be things like smelling. I have jasmine growing outside, smelling the flowers for several minutes, many times a day, going for a walk in nature, looking at the beauty of nature, being with people I love, writing out appreciation, doing meditation, doing art, dancing, anything that I like. You don't have to do my things. I'm just saying, if you like. What I ended up doing was growing my hedonistic hotspots or pleasure centers so much that they hijack the pain center. So let's say if I do have something that burns me, I'll go, oh, and it goes away. I mean, I touch it and I'll feel it, and it's the signal, but it's not. Pain is not meant to be an incessant alarm. The thing that, from my experience, that creates pain is the focus on the pain more and more and more. And then it literally makes it so some people can't even perceive pleasure from cooking or from a great meal, from anything, hugging your mom, whatever it is. Right. So with me, I later found this out. I can't remember the name of the guys. It was a couple, two different, they weren't together, but they were two different neuroscientists. And I had learned about it through my girlfriend, who was reading one of their books because she had pain. And I was telling her about my experience. And she said, oh, read this part. And I read it and it made total sense. And I thought, oh, this is what makes it so that if you don't want to have pain, if you focus on things that give you emotional, physical, gustatory, olfactory, visual, kinesthetic pleasure, to such a degree that the pain, I believe pain is meant to be just like a, hey, move to the left if you're not just like a boom here. It's a message, one text.
Yeah.
Pain. But most people pain gets on the phone with them and is like not letting them get off the phone. Right.
Yeah.
And so you have to kind of use a little mental, have a shift in your focus on shifting to something that makes you feel better. It could just be, when you think about it, every breath has a massage happening with it.
Yeah.
And so if you feel the sensation of your rib cage moving or your belly moving, or your hips move in and out with every breath if you're sitting down or lying down, and then you could have your sacrum moving, for example, any of those places, if you put your attention on it while you breathe, it becomes like erotic. It's so sensational. And so there can be just breathing. It can be, seeing a beautiful flower, watching someone you love, being with a child, or petting a cat, petting a dog. It doesn't matter. Like, as long as it's something that feels good to you, that will start to increase your pleasure centers. And for me, I want my pleasure centers to be so big that pain is just a communication, hey.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think that was beautiful. Yeah. We decided to have you on because anyone just check out your Twitter feed, because you're not faking this. You are about that life. You have embodied this whole thing. And I don't know, I think a lot of people maybe trying to fake it till they make it. And I think your story, I listened to your Deepak Chopra interview, which is really great, where he was asking about your early life and the pains that you went through and evolved past. And yeah, I feel something, obviously that's important. Sometimes you have to go through that kind of a thing to really come out the other side, to have that context. But it seems like focus is the really important thing for this law of attraction stuff, or anything that kind of creating the life you want in any subject, basically, right? And everyone always focuses on the money aspect of it, which is important for sure. But I like the cases where people do like really crazy mental or body transformations, right? Because that's really impressive. And sometimes I've heard some edge cases almost where, like, people will change eye color with their mind. People will like get an inch taller if they wanted to. Just crazy stuff. And I don't know, I feel like that stuff is possible in a lot of cases. Not always, but sometimes it can be the real deal. Yeah. Do you have
I grew not last summer, but the summer before. First, somebody came over and they had, against the wall, and put the pencil against the wall.
Yeah.
And then I said, I feel like all these people kept saying to me, are you taller? I said, I feel like I am.
Yeah.
And and I grew not like an inch, but about, let's see, I went from 5 feet 4 inches. No, 5.4 inches.
Right.
So 5 feet 5 inches 0.4 to 0.7.
Wow.
So it was a little bit. It was like a little more than it's about like close to a half an inch.
Enough for a person to notice, right? I mean, enough for somebody to see it.
You were saying it to me, I was like, wow, this is sort of cool,
We have some listeners we have some listeners that definitely could use that help a little bit, I think. But the definitely one thing I thinking about what you said about just like people that are constantly in pain, like they're constantly on the phone with pain. I love that, the way that, because you look at that, even you're speaking on like a physical pain, but even like everybody knows somebody who's perpetually unhappy, right? Emotional pain, right? No matter what. Could be the perfect day of all time, but they'll find a way to sabotage it because they want to, right? Or like because that might even be the most interesting thing about them. They may hate themselves that much that it might actually be the only thing that makes them interesting or gives them that rush that they need. So, I mean, I would imagine that works completely on an emotional level too. Even if you're in great shape, even if you're completely built and you're just, marathon runner, bodybuilder guy that just can move mountains or something. But if you're just completely negative all the time, you're going to feel that pain on that level, I would imagine.
Yeah. And I had that. I had been diagnosed before. So this all left me a little, like within the last 15 years. Like by 15 years ago, it was pretty much almost all gone, but some of it got better. But I had been diagnosed with suicidal depression. I was suicidal for like most of my life until about 15 years ago. I was diagnosed with dissociative disorder, which, I would get unpresent and I couldn't think at all. PTSD, like severe PTSD, and anxiety, panic, all that stuff. It's all gone. I don't have any of that.
Yeah.
So this works, doesn't matter. But I will say that emotional pleasure, the pleasure of writing out appreciation, the pleasure of meditating, the pleasure of drawing something that you like, whatever it is, the pleasure, listening to music, dancing, whatever, playing music, if you play music, the emotional pleasure changes the physiological experience. And that's one of the things, like, most people are not aware how much their emotions and their thoughts are impacting their physiology. But if you think about it, let's say you've got a lemon and you've cut the lemon into quarters, and now you pick up one of the quarters and you smell it. And then you look at the quarter and you take a bite into the lemon. I mean, I feel the tartness in my jaw, in the salivary glands.
Yeah.
And that kind of thing. If somebody just imagines something, and like men, for example, if you imagine something that's sexually exciting to you, you will notice a physiological change. But it doesn't have to be just in those. Women too, but men's are a little more like obvious. I would say, but it's not just about those kind of bigger things, the tartness or a sexual note, but it's also, do you breathe deeper?
Yeah.
Did your pupils increase? Does your eyesight seem more clear?
Mm-hmm.
Is your heart getting more relaxed? Is your heart and your brain feeling more coherent?
Yeah.
Do you feel more physical energy? Do you feel like you're like you can do something that you hadn't been able to do for a while, right?
Yeah. Yeah. And I find I've been really honing into the whole stop and smell the roses thing. When I appreciate the little things and I train that as a habit, all the bigger things start to take care of themselves in almost magical ways, where, because I have been on negative streaks where I'm just like, why? It feels like the whole universe is acting against you. Of course, you put yourself there, and but yeah, that would be my number one advice to anyone just getting started with this, is really helping me is, just milk the little things, just like your favorite cup of tea or coffee in the morning, just really savor it. Spend an extra 5 minutes with your cat, just little things like that, and everything else will just kind of fall into place, and especially if you make that as a habit. So I think that links into what you were saying about hijacking the good way, the good hijacking, in that sense. Yeah.
Yeah. Bravo for you. That's really wonderful that you're doing that.
Well, thank you. Yeah. We're both kind of on, we have like a paranormal tint to this podcast, of course. It's just who we are, and we had a Monroe Institute veteran on, Joe Gallenberger, who, doing all the binaural beats and the astral projection and stuff like that. And he's really into kind of telekinesis with, dice games and Vegas stuff, using love, like heart-centered stuff to really amp up the odds in like a mathematical way,
Mm-hmm.
And he's been doing these, we've been doing his liquid luck meditation. Oh, here we go. Let's go. What? I didn't even know. Hang on.
So you did that. That's a bed spoon?
Tell everyone what you're showing if they're not.
Okay, I'm showing a spoon. I got the spoon originally.
We did not plan this. We did not plan. This is all.
Because I'm interested in all that too.
Yes.
So with this spoon, first I bent it the first night. It went like into a U. And then the next morning I was meditating. I thought, I wonder if I can still do it. So I tried it again and I made another loop. And then the next morning I tried it again and I made a third loop. So now this is loop 3 times.
Yeah.
That's the real deal right there.
That's crystal clear too.
Yeah, all sorts of things. I really know telekinesis, telepathy, intuition. That stuff is totally true. I talk to dead people.
Yeah. Oh, we're gonna dig into that.
Yeah.
But I was my whole thing with spoon bending is if you can bend a spoon with your mind, you can manifest, like a little extra, a better apartment or like some extra money or something.
Sure.
Right? I don't know. Yeah.
Any of that stuff, man. I had like for a long time, probably about 4 or 5 years ago at this point, almost daily, I was able to have an anxiety attack and pretty much take myself out of the world, hoping that I would get out of the world, hoping that nobody would see me, hoping that I could just disappear for a little bit. And then I realized, like, not right then, sadly, I didn't realize that, but just doing this journey that we're on right now, I've realized I was able to completely wreck my day. Like with my own mind. So why can't I do something cool with it? Like why can't
That's exactly right. That's such a great point, because when we talked about focus, you mentioned focus a few minutes ago. To me, focus is like sunlight. And if you look at any plant or tree or even a plant in your house, wherever the sun is, that plant is going to move towards the sun at that light. And if a plant does not get enough light, or the right kind of light, the plant usually wilts and it's not very happy. You need focus to grow, and every thought is a seed. So the sunlight is so important, and every thought is the seed. And then if we go into this metaphor a little more, appreciation is the nourishment for the seeds to grow.
Okay, so I'm glad we're getting into this, because I know some people get weird, even people that are into weird stuff, whenever you talk about LOA stuff, and I think that's a real shame.
Law of attraction. You're talking
about. Exactly. And so I see it as like 3 levels of acceptance of what I've kind of intuited where we're at as a society. The first step is the complete skeptic, where your thoughts don't matter at all. We're completely materialistic robots, no brains interacting whatsoever. Then the second step is like, positive thinking probably helps, because it probably gets you into a state where you're more willing to take action. You're more willing to do this and that. And you can but it's probably still contained. It's still not whatever. And then there's kind of the level of acceptance where it's like, no, our thoughts vibrate and radiate out and connect with all that is and everyone else and everything else. And it's actually how it works. That's actually the nature of reality. And I think it's probably good to not count out that last one I just said. That's probably how it is, and it's probably, and if you accept that as a belief structure, belief system, and try and work with that, like you said, the seed thing and the appreciation, and make that as your substrate for your whole mind, that'll probably create some miracles in your life, I think.
Yeah. Totally. Yeah. The thing that you were just talking about, one of the things that's a problem for people is that most of us, I certainly was, and most of my clients grew up with belief systems that we think are what the world is, but it's really the belief systems that we inherited from whoever we were around, usually the adults or older siblings or teachers or coaches or doctors or whatever. So we get these belief systems, and our brains in the first, I'd say from sometime in utero, up until around 6 or 7 years old, we're in what's called a hypnagogic trance, meaning we're in hypnosis the first 6 or 7 years of life, and in utero. So little kids, when you're carrying a baby, that baby can hear. That's their primary. They can hear and they can feel, and sound is a vibration.
Yeah.
So is light. And so when a baby is hearing mom and dad talking about how beautiful each other is and what they love about each other and how great this experience is or whatever, that baby's going to get all these good hormones from mom, and it's going to get these vibrations that are kind of harmonious with its physiology. If you have a mom that's carrying the baby and the mom is stressed out, she's working too much, she doesn't feel good physically, she's the husband and the wife are fighting, or the husband's gone, and then maybe she's got somebody, a mother or somebody helping her who's not, or no one helping her, like all of these things. So this baby, even in utero, is going to be getting her cortisol, which is a stress agent, her adrenaline, which is a stress agent. And what cortisol and adrenaline do for when in utero is it makes the little baby's body go into stiffness, like, because it's fight or flight, but there's nowhere to go because he's in a womb, right?
Yeah.
He's in a womb. And so their body gets, all the blood flow goes to the legs and the hands. Same with everybody. When you get angry, or when you get, your hands and your feet, fight or flight.
Yeah.
And so then what happens is, what doesn't get the funding is the brain, is the digestion, is the heart. So these areas, they don't get the funding that you want. And so a lot of people grow up with belief systems that they think are what reality is, but they can't see it because it's subconscious.
Yeah.
And so they have subconscious belief systems. So some of the things that, like what I do with my clients, and I think I've talked about it in for sure my books, those belief systems attract stuff to you. So people can do a focus that's positive, but if they're not paying attention, there will be a loop in their brain that is from something that usually happened, decades before, depending on how old they are. And that loop is going on, and it might not be a loop that's serving you. And can I give you one story to show you this?
Absolutely, please.
So this one client, she bought a used car and she loved it. It was really cute. Then there was a big rain, and all the inside of the car got wet, like really wet, and she couldn't get the water out. And she had something done to the car between when she bought it and when the rain happened at this place. So she went to that place and said, "Can you help me?" And they looked at the car and they're like, "No, we didn't do anything. It's not our fault." So she went back to the dealership and they said, "It's past the 30 days. You can't do anything." So she was panicking because it was, it's not healthy to have water sitting in your car.
No. No, sure.
She was panicking, and she was in this, we were on Zoom together, and she was saying how no one was helping her. She was just getting this thing. And all of a sudden I remember, because I do a really thorough intake of people before we get together. When she was 5, her cousin had sexually abused her, and when she told her mom and her aunt, her mom and her aunts all laughed at her.
Yeah.
And they made fun of her and they shamed her. And she's 5 and the cousin was older. And so we healed that subconscious programming that no one can help her.
Yeah. The
next day she gets a call from the insurance. "Hey, we're going to give you a rental car for another 30 days. That had been working. They helped her for 30 days, and now 30 days were up. They're giving her a new rental car. Right after that, she gets a call from not the dealership, but the car place who had done something to the car. And the guy says, "Look, I don't know what this is, but you're going to be my case. I'm going to make sure we solve this. I will help you." Then the car company calls and says, "Look, if you haven't gotten this taken care of, if there's no way to get it taken care of, we'll work something out with you. We'll figure it out." And so she couldn't believe all we did was heal the trauma from when she was 5, and the rental car, the car shop, and the car dealership all responded within 12 hours.
Wow. So you have to be courageous enough to dig into that old stuff and release it. And then
but part of the issue is that it's normal to you.
Yeah.
She couldn't see it. I could see it because I knew her story, and I'm clear.
No one ever helps me. It's just how life is for me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You have a like, say you have a leak in your roof and you just keep a bucket there the whole time. You're like, well, the bucket catches a leak and the house is leaking all the time. So that's the way it is. I mean,
Perfect analogy. I love it. Yeah.
So cool. Wow. All right. Well, we didn't know that you were a spoonbender too. that was totally. I love that. That's crazy. Yeah. And we've been doing the kind of the reprogram. I listen to Liquid Luck at least a couple. That's Joe Gallenberger's guided meditation. I do it at night, sometimes in the morning. As I'm going to bed, I'll do it. And like I said to him, I'm not really a big guided meditation guy most of the time. Never really vibed with him. And then I just got that one and it just clicked. And I think it's because he's a veteran of the Monroe Institute, and that's all those guys do is that. And And yeah, stuff's we manifested, and we're moving to a new house, a new rental that's way better and like not that much more expensive. You know, I think Glenn, things have been happening with you too. You love that one too, right?
Yeah, I just, it's been little things. I mean, but it's the thing is little things. Even then, it's I could easily be like, wow, my whole life didn't change tomorrow, therefore it's fake, and then therefore something bad happens because I have that outlook on life. It's like, man, it's been great weather here. It's been you know, like I've been having good days at work. I've been, you know, getting off in time to enjoy and do my fun show. You know, it's like it's been really good. It's like that's what I need. And you know, who knows? Did I need a big change? I don't know if I did. You know, like it was just this overall kind of like I feel better, you know, and that's good. And like I have to say too, some of the worst mental states that I get in is when I'm not eating the way I should be eating, right? I mean, and that makes sense too. It just constantly being in pain, right? Because especially as you get older, like if you eat poorly, especially day after day after day, you're like inflamed, you're not feeling well, you might even be short breath. Like there's a lot of, I mean, we have, especially in this country, we see that happen a lot. What is like, I mean, talk about like your diet and stuff, I guess is what I'd like to hear. Everybody always loves to know like what people eat and stuff on this show and stuff. And just, and when you're going well, when everything, when it's, you know, when you're operating at the best, you know, way you can, what are you eating? What are you doing? How much are you sleeping? You know, things like that. I'd love to hear about it.
Yeah. I mean, I'm always in this place of operating well for the most part, you know, so I don't feel inspired to go off my diet. So let me just, I eat one meal a day, which I really like. And part of the reason I like it, it's called OMAD, one meal a day. And I'm not mad, I'm glad.
She's very happy. She's very happy. We can confirm she's happy. Yeah.
One good meal a day.
The reason I like it is, one, it gives your digestion a chance to rest. It also takes senescent or old cells that have forgotten their way, and it kills them. It raises your human growth hormone, and it just you just get more mental clarity. I used to eat a lot of sugar and I used to eat a lot of grains. I was vegetarian for 27 years, and I had brain fog. And now I eat what I call, I would say I eat paleo, but with a hell of a lot of fat. Meaning, like just a lot of, I just eat so much fat because your brain is mostly made of fat and water. And when people eat carbs, that's like the brain saying, okay, I'll take this fake fuel, but I really want the good fuel. And so the brain will get inflamed trying to use bad fuel. And not just the brain, but the whole body. So you're right about the inflammation. So I eat meat. It's a whole nother story about how that happened, but the cows told me to do it, and they told me.
They told you.
Oh my God, it was crazy. Yeah. But anyway, so I eat meat, and then I eat vegetables, and I eat, you know, like I said, fat. So I eat like a lot of, I like this ancient organic ski. Oh my God. So I like to have a scoop of ancient organic ski before I eat anything. I don't drink coffee or caffeine or tea or anything like that. I just have water, and every once in a while I might have fruit. If it's fruit, it's low sugar fruit. Like I do like coconut and green apple and berries. That's kind of the only fruit I eat. And so I don't eat any grains. I don't eat any sugar. I haven't had sugar in 15 years.
Wow.
And I haven't had grains in about 13 years. And then I gave up dairy except for butter. I don't know why butter feels really good in my body. So I'll eat butter too. But otherwise I don't have any other dairy, and I haven't had that in I think like 11 years. It was like a 2-year, every 2 years I let go of something. So that's kind of how I eat. And I usually sleep really well. I have my whole house, all my lights. You could just see for a second. I don't know. Can you see? You can't see anything.
I saw a little something pop up. Yeah.
You can see it's all my lights are red. I have a lot of windows, so I don't need lights during the day. But so all my lights are red, so that helps me. I turn my Wi-Fi router off at night.
Yeah,
I gotta start doing that.
That's airplane mode on everything. It's the way to do it.
Airplane mode. If I have my phone, I usually don't sleep with my phone in my room. Sometimes I do if I want to do a meditation that's on my phone or something like that. But I don't do that. I have blackout curtains in my in my bedroom, and I have it blacked out between the bedroom and the bathroom so that the moon usually comes right in the hallway. Like you can see it through the hallway really
Nice.
easily. We have photoreceptors on every part of our body, not just in our eyes. So you can get light from the moon on your arms as you're walking, let's say, through your house at night, and that will tell your body to stop making melatonin. So you want to get as much blue light, which moon is blue light, sun is blue light. You want to get as much blue light out of your house. Like my computer is on it's called eyeglass. No, it's called, I forget what it's called, but it's a different color. It's like a warm yellow. Because if you look at a phone, a normal phone, the light on the phone is brighter than the sun. And our eyes are not designed for that. Our eyes,
totally.
You look at all of humanity, for the however many millions or thousands or hundreds of years.
Yeah, this is a new thing, what we're doing right now.
This is a new thing. Been like one generation messing with the light being brighter on a screen than the actual sun. So I do all that, and then my house is really quiet. I live in Los Angeles, but I'm in a canyon, so you just hear the owls. Woo-woo,
nice.
Some other animal or whatever, but it's quiet.
When do you eat your meal? Like 4 p.m., noon?
Yeah, I usually eat it. I like to work out first. So I meditate, I write, I work out, and then I usually eat after I've worked out. So it just depends on the day. Sometimes there's other things I want to do. Like there's a couple things I was taking care of yesterday. So I didn't even, I ate later. It just depends on my schedule. And if somebody wants to go to dinner, I'll have a longer day of fasting and I'll wait. But I do like to eat so that I have at least 6 hours or 8 hours before I'm going to go to bed. Because the body, food stays in your digestive system for a long time. And if your body has to digest while you're trying to sleep, your body has to work at it. Your body has to work instead of rejuvenating you and giving you all the goodness that your body wants to do when you sleep. Sleep is meant to be a healing, rejuvenation, wonderful thing. And your body doesn't want to have to do extra work, while you're sleeping. So that's why I try to eat like 2, 3, 4, sometimes a little, but
and you brought up a really good point about the blue light, especially. I mean, right now light is crazy because there's department stores or hardware stores aren't even carrying incandescent bulbs half the time anymore. I've been seeing, which that's
you can't even get them legally in California.
Yeah, I know. We're always first on many frontiers, us Californians, and lately it hasn't been great. Lately it hasn't been a lot of great ones that I care to explore. But but yeah, you have a lot of stuff like that. Everything is a screen now. I mean, even like at jobs you work at, things you used to write down on paper are now done on screens. And half the time, the thing you look at on the screen is negative and bad. So you're basically frying your eyes while ruining your mental constitution by looking at something that you would have never known about otherwise. And then when I'm in that kind of state, I usually want to counteract that with a decadent sort of meal, right? Which, because you're like, oh man, I need something to pick me up, right? That then compounds it. So we're being sold that what we're doing right now is progress. This is the human race progressing, right? Because everything's done. We have wireless headphones. We have all these things that are done, but I'm not so sure.
Well, I got to say, there's something so brilliant about nature. I mean, when you look at a tiny seed can create a giant tree, and the giant tree in a forest, there's mother trees, and the mother trees have their roots go out, and then these mycelium which are mushrooms, basically underground mushrooms. They connect the roots of different trees to each other, and the mother knows which ones are her baby trees, so she'll make sure the nutrients go to them. Like, there's so much brilliance going on. It's off the charts. Even the fact that, like, I don't wear glasses. I used to wear sunglasses. I used to be light sensitive. I have light eyes, and I used to be light sensitive, and now I haven't worn any sunglasses, and I live in Los Angeles, which is, sunny. I haven't worn any glasses in almost 5 years. Like, right this month is 5 years. And my eyesight has improved so much, and my ability to see in the dark, or in low light, has improved as well.
That's so cool. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's cool. It's cool how you can keep transforming every year the older you get. It doesn't have to be this crazy decline that everyone taps out at 38 years old, 42 years old. It's sad. It's so crazy. It's like, and it's just, it can be fun, it's I don't know. Cause I think, we're both same age. We're both in our early 30s. Right. And it's kind of, you start to see some of your friends start to falter a little bit. It's natural. It's, it's normal. And I should say not natural. It's normal in our society.
Right.
Things. Yeah. And it's just sad. And I think, and it's not really about, obviously it's about what you do for sure. There's actions you can take. We just rattled off, 30 different actions that you could take, but it's more like the mindset, I feel, and just more you'll be led to the right things, and everyone's led to slightly different things. There's probably is a pattern of this stuff that we do. Like, probably don't want to be blaring the screen in your face. It's probably hard to work around that, but it's just crazy. Just start to play with it and start to have fun and start to explore. Life could get better, and it doesn't have to keep getting worse and weirder and stuff. And anyway, that was my little rant. But
I love that because I feel younger now. When I was 18, people would say, "How old are you?" And I'd say 84. That's how I felt. That's how I felt. And now I feel so energized, and people constantly, they make jokes, 25-year-old girl, body missing. She wants it back, when they're looking at me exercising or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
I'm stronger. My hair is thicker. My eyesight has improved. My mental cognition has gone up. My processing speed has gotten faster. My mental acuity to understand things faster has gotten faster. My attention has gotten more focused. My IQ has gone up 20 to 30 points. All of these things, all the things that I just mentioned for the mental stuff, they've all gone up 20 to 30 points from, I went to a neuroscience and I got the cap on the head with electrodes. I did that 2 times over with 2 year in between. And he was like, "Oh my God, the way your brain, it's improved in every area."
Yeah.
That's so crazy.
So I'm writing a book on how to look and feel younger, independent of any age, basically. So I'm in the process of writing that.
Yeah. So no, that's I think that's wonderful, because like I do notice it. I mean, I think people age in like dog years now, and not even talking looking, right? Like I think a lot of people, like, there's many tricks that you can do to fool somebody into thinking you're this age, and all that. But there's so many people now that are just like, they're waking up and they're sore, and it's like, man, you're 25 years old. You know what I mean? Like what is, and a lot of it, we work jobs we, aren't naturally fit to do. There is societal parts of it, but also we don't even reward people for having good memories anymore, and just things like that, because it's all written down. Everything's archived for us, like we don't have to apply ourselves. So I think anything that, we do, we might not be rewarded in the material world for, some of the things that we do here. And I think that's what stops a lot of people is that, well, all right, but I mean, I'm going to make $200,000 this year at this company where the computer does half my work for me, and all this. So why would I do that? But it's like, man, it only takes one bad week. It only takes one bad day for you to go, I would do anything to feel any different than I do right now. Cause that stuff always catches up to people.
Yeah.
Yeah. And when people feel bad emotionally, it impacts the physiology in a negative way. But part of the thing about the aging thing that I want to say is that so there's something called a placebo, which is an inert thing, or something that has a positive benefit. It comes from the word placere, which means to please. So it's something that pleases you. Usually it's like a sugar pill or something, which I can never do a placebo because of that. If it's in, because I don't eat sugar. But then there's a nocebo. A nocebo is You're going to decline when you get older. When you get older, you lose your hair. When you get older, you get fat. When you get older, you can't do some of these things. When you get older, you're going to have dementia. When you get older, you're going to live for 6 more months, right?
Yeah.
These are nocebos. It's basically something that commercials say it. Oh, as you age, this part of your body, you lose glutathione. And so your body, they're going to say that as you age. And I have a friend who's a doctor, and I was hitting my my chest like Tarzan, I was just like doing this, and he goes, "What are you doing?" And I said, "I'm stimulating my thymus gland." And he goes, "Well, your thymus gland gets shrunken as you get older." And I said, "Do not tell my thymus gland that."
Yeah.
I was like, "Don't listen to him. He's giving you a nocebo. It's not true."
Yeah. Yeah. Shield. Yeah. Shield activated. Yeah. Yeah. I love that. Yeah.
Well,
do you want to pivot to maybe we could dip into this subject and keep it as light as possible, because we're having so much fun here. But RFK, Robert F. Kennedy Jr. I don't know, because we're not really political. We talk about it for time and time, or here and there. We rejected most of the COVID and the vaccine premise. That's kind of what made us infamous in our circles and stuff. And I've been following RFK for a long time, because I've been into the whole health scene. You're kind of like friends with him, right? Or you've met him and you were kind of in his circle a little bit. And I would see you on Twitter, you'd be kind of defending him in a very positive and open way, and trying to educate people about what he's about and everything. And so do you want to talk a little bit about that and what's going on with RFK? And because obviously he's on this huge platform now. And yeah.
I mean, I've known him 33 years, and the way I met him, actually, it was so funny. I used to live on this street, and there was these neighbors across the street, and they had a dog, and the dog kept escaping, and he'd sit in the middle of the street, like right in the middle of the street, like just like this. He was a Jack Russell Terrier. He was so cute. His name was Tugger. And so I, every day I would see him out there, and I would go pick him up and put him back in our backyard with our dog, and leave a note saying, "You guys got to be better at taking care of your dog. What's wrong with you?" And I didn't know them, and they'd come over every day. "Oh, we're so sorry. We're so sorry. Thank you for rescuing him." Da, da, da. So, so then what happened is, over time, I rescued their dog, like, hundreds of times. So we became friends, right? So we became friends, and I didn't know anything about them or anything, but we just started to get to know each other. And then I moved to New York. I was doing a TV show, and they moved to Virginia to go to law school. And then they decided to get married. So they invited me to be to their wedding. And this is one of Bobby's younger brothers, and his sister-in-law. So I was invited to the wedding, and I was invited to Hyannisport a bunch of times. And I was invited to Hickory Hill, which is in Virginia. And so I got to know a lot of his family, and Ethel, who I love, and just different people. And we did all sorts of stuff. They played football. They were rough. Mixed football. Rough. And we went sailing, and it was just really fun. And then at the wedding, I was a bridesmaid, and that was really fun. And again, I met more of the family. And then I was back in New York, I don't even know how long after that, but just not too long, a week or two. And I went into an event, and this man turned around and he looked at me and he goes, "Hey, weren't you at my brother's wedding?" And I said, "What's your brother's name?" And he said the name, and I was like, "Oh my God, yeah." And he goes, "Yeah, I'm his older brother, and my name's Bobby." And I was like, "Hi, Bobby." And so we ended up becoming friends, and we were friends. We would go on. What I loved about him is in New York, the Hudson River, it was so polluted, and all these businesses were just flagrantly polluting the river. And Bobby was suing every single business. Bobby and it was called the Hudson River Keeper was what the organization was that he was part of. And they were suing all these businesses, and they turned the Hudson pretty much while I was there. I think they started before I got there, but by the time I was done, the Hudson was like, had the most diversity of fish. The fishermen could start to work again. The fish were healthy. They weren't smelling like oil or whatever else they were using. And so they made all these rules, and they used this Hudson River Keeper it's now like franchised or there's like many offshoots of it. I don't know if it's franchised, but many offshoots of it in other countries where people who are local are taking care of their rivers the same way that he did, or in their way that works for them, but they get all the same kind of understanding. So I saw him doing that, and I would go, he'd always invite me to go hear him speak, and I would go listen, and he was talking about the environment, and it was so common sense. It was so logical. It was so inspiring, and it always just made me feel electrified. And then with all of the Kennedys, but with Bobby too, I was always invited to teach somebody, teach a group of kids from DC who had never swum how to swim. Or like with Bobby, he was working with a community called Bedford-Stuyvesant. And so he, invited me and all these kids. We got on a boat. They'd never been on a boat. And then we went hiking in the wilderness outside of Manhattan. And these kids, that the joy on their faces to see just so many trees, and then to see a deer or a rabbit or a hawk or any of the things that they were seeing, and to see the river. There was like a lake there where we were hiking, and to see that, and they were just so like wide-eyed and amazed.
So he's been doing that a while. He's not just doing that to score political points, because I've seen him do the hiking with the kids, and everyone's like, oh, whatever, but he's about.
He's been doing. This is who he is. This is who he is. It's just part of it. Also, the thing that I like when we go on hikes, I pick up litter. My mom always told me to pick up litter, so I used to go every Saturday and pick up litter, right? When I was a kid, and I still do that. I still pick up litter, and he picks up litter, and so it was something we just discovered, about each other, and so we've just been friends. And I would hear him, and then like I've had other times where, just throughout the 33 years, we've had times of connection and not, and all that kind of stuff. And so one of the things that I love about him is he has integrity and he has honesty. And he might make a mistake, he might say something wrong, but he is consistent at wanting to get to the truth, being as transparent as possible, standing up for not the corporations, but for, the people, and making sure that the people are getting cared for. I remember when we were both in New York, he said, yeah, I'm going to be out of town. I said, oh, what's going on? And he goes, my friend Cesar Chavez died. I'm going to be a pallbearer.
Wow.
And I was like, wow. And I said, what did you do with Cesar? And I didn't really know anything about Cesar Chavez, but Bobby said, I've helped him. I've helped him, strike with his workers, and helped his workers get better benefit and all that stuff. So he'd been working with this stuff. This is in the early 90s. And so I was always impressed with his care, with his honesty. He was honest with me about things that weren't to his advantage, to be honest. Right. But he just was so honest. Yeah. And so he enabled me to make good choices for myself that maybe didn't invite him in the same way that I would have, if he hadn't been that honest. He was so honest. And so that was really key. And then I also watched how wherever we went, there would be people that were, the blue collar workers that would come up and say, thanks for helping my river get better, or thanks for helping us on this case, or thanks for, taking care of the environment. We love the environment, so it was so much of that. Yeah. So, and I'm a person, as just in my own life in high school, my teacher said to us, look around the room, look at your desk, look at your book, look at your pens, look at the chalkboard, look at the door handle. It's filled with, quadrillions of bacteria and viruses, and but you're all still alive. What's going on? And I realized then, it's about having a strong immune system.
Yeah.
So when Bobby started doing this stuff about vaccines, it made sense to me, because if you have a strong immune system, if you're taking care of yourself, things don't stick to. I never get sick,
Yeah.
Yeah. So I just really formed, but also I love the fact that he has this environmental science background, because in order to do any kind of trial, you have to read a lot of science. If it's a for the environment, you have to read the environmental science. So he got to see firsthand how what was in the science was not reflected in the governmental agencies.
Yeah.
And what was in the science was being lied about by the companies and by the governmental agencies. So he sued all these different agencies like the EPA and the NSA and all these. He sued tons of agencies that are supposed to regulate, and he sued them to make them be more, honest.
Yeah.
And
and
so that's something I've seen him do throughout as an environmentalist, but also as looking at the vaccines. And maybe he's talked about it, maybe it's not just vaccines, because when all the diseases started happening, it was around 89 when different chemicals got introduced into our system. There's so many things that it could be, but he's committed to making our country healthy again. We have 60% of Americans are obese, and we have a huge amount of comorbidities, and 54% of little kids have a chronic disease.
Yeah. And he all he did was listen to people's moms. Like, it wasn't even something that he came to on his own. And I don't say that as like a pejorative or anything. I'm saying this is in a way he listened to moms.
Right.
The moms kept saying, I'm noticing something with my children, like, and you're not going to ignore me. I know, because they know that he actually cared about the environment and things like that. And his last name is an American institution. Just going to them, they would leave piles of paperwork on his door. Like, I need you to look at these. You are a smart, lawyer, in a sense. Like, you can't look at these papers and tell me that there's nothing wrong. And there's a lot of people who might even acknowledge what those moms were saying to be true, but they might say, well, do I want to go down that path? And what I've liked about him is he's never been fearful about going the extra mile, getting to that conclusion that, it's frustrating to see other people just won't allow themselves get to.
Right. So. Well, it's hard. There's this quote, I'm going to misquote it, but it's something like, it's really hard for someone to see evidence when seeing the evidence will negatively affect their paycheck.
Yeah.
I can't remember how that quote goes, but I don't know who.
I think that's Upton Sinclair, I think, who was also famously psychic too, in a weird way. Yeah, he wrote a
famous Californian author. Yeah, definitely.
I love that.
And the thing about listening, that's one thing I really like about Bobby too, is when he worked at the Hudson, he was going to these meetings with the fishermen to understand what's going on. How is this pollution impacting them? When he went to like the Amazon, he listened to the indigenous people who live there, who were talking about what was going on with the oil companies or other places that were destroying, the Amazon. When he went to the border, he listened to the refugees. He listened to the doctors. He listened to the Border Patrol to see what is going on. He's really good at getting a full understanding of the problem, and part of that is that he's a pretty good listener. And like, even he did a thing on, I really like regenerative farming. I'm like a freak about regenerative farming.
Yeah, we hate it. We hate it.
Yeah.
We quite like it as well.
And I try to eat organic regenerative and da-da-da. Yeah. But he did a roundtable with different farmers from different parts of America, or different advocates who all talked about regenerative farming, because he was trying to find out what is the best policy that's going to make America healthier, but also make the soil, the water, the air healthier. When you're eating food with pesticides, conventional food, not only are you polluting your own body, but the stuff that they're doing, it's killing pollinators and other insects, and it's polluting the dirt. It turns soil into dirt, meaning there's no nutrients in it. It pollutes the groundwater because all the chemicals soak into the groundwater, and it just pollutes anything that eats it, whether it's an animal or a human, or an insect, it pollutes them too. So you really want to have organic. I do anyway. I really want to have, I love organic stuff because I don't want to have the toxins. We already get enough toxins. Like,
oh yeah, yeah. Right. I mean, like, we had it right for years. Why? You know what I mean? Like, the world was fine for a long time. You know, it wasn't. You know, it wasn't like we just suddenly we came to this great discovery that we need to put, you know, all these weird like carcinogens inside food, like to make people healthier, and which is great. And now I had one last question for you. One thing we haven't talked about is you're an accomplished actress.
Oh yeah.
I mean, like I'm scanning your IMDb. I'm like,
yeah. What was it like on the Cheers set? Yeah, I was wondering about that. What was that?
I mean, One Life to Live. I mean, we have actual fans that are soap fans like on here. Shout out the Perfume Nationalist podcast as well, who covers soap operas in depth, and we collaborate with people that do that stuff all the time. But I mean. You were on an episode in the glory years of the X-Files, which I think is amazing. So like all that's really cool. So I mean, like, do you have any desire to go back to that, or are you still doing it?
Yeah, I stopped doing it when I had the narcolepsy because I literally fell asleep on camera on camera while I was doing a film with the same producer of that X-Files. And so I stopped doing it. I didn't know what else I could do. And then I ended up becoming a coach, which it's so gratifying. And then I've written books, which is gratifying. And I like to speak, but I love acting. I love acting. And now it took me a while because, you know, when you do an acting job, almost every acting job, it's somebody who's having a problem. Pretty much. There's very few acting roles that are like who I am, where I don't have any problems anymore. I'm just like happy all the time.
Doesn't always make the best show. Yeah.
Right.
It doesn't. Yeah. It doesn't. Yeah.
Right. And so it took me a while to understand how to play any part, you know, a part that's suffering, a part that's angry, a part that's sick, without it impacting me. Because part of the thing with acting is because I studied mind-body science. That's what I did in college. With acting, it was the petri dish. I saw how whatever character I was playing, my physiology shifted for that character. I played pregnant on that One Life to Live. I was Tina. I played pregnant for, I think, 6 months or something. I wore a pillow under a leotard under my clothes, right?
Mm-hmm.
After about 3 or 4 months, the wardrobe girl came in with a dress I was going to wear and the bra I wear with it. And she put the bra on me and she goes, "Oh my God, your breasts have grown. You're no longer a C, you're a D."
What?
Right. And I was like, "Oh my God." And she goes, "Let me go get you a different bra." And while she's going to get the bra, I'm like, "Oh my God, my body thinks I'm pregnant." I'm playing with that physiology. And then I had the baby on the show and my breast went back down to it.
That's crazy.
I mean, it's method. It's method acting in a sense.
That is kinesthetic. That is psychokinesis.
Yeah. Well, it's like the famous Heath Ledger is the famous one, sadly, right? With the Joker.
Yeah.
And all, it's like,
I mean, that went real south for him. You know.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
Oh, it's sad.
But I love it.
So you've been doing it. You had been doing it. I mean, that was your trade for quite a while, right? That was what you did. And like, what? I guess, you know, because you had said for a long time you were, you know, not in a great place for a long time mentally. But I would imagine that probably helped you in the acting department, right? Like, it was weird. It was like such a trade off. I find that fascinating.
Yeah, and now I know how to do it without using. As an actor originally, when I had all this, you know, I'd been raped, I'd been molested, I'd been beaten, I'd been, you know, all that stuff, all that fun stuff. I used that with acting, and so I would kind of increase that pain center that we were talking about, because I was using it in order to play a part. And now I know how to do it without doing that. And so the freedom I have is like, now I can play any kind of character and it can be really freaking fun, and it won't impact my life in a negative way.
Wow.
So I'm
excellent. Excellent. So, well, this has been great, and we would love to speak to you again sometime, because I have so many more questions, especially on the farming tip. I think that'd be a fun thing to dive in again another time. But let everybody know about your books, about where to find you. Your Twitter is just your name. That's Karen Lorre, and that's Lorre. So make sure you guys go check that out. But let everyone else, websites that you have and stuff. Our audience is they when they like a guest, they go find them and they go check out their stuff. So just make sure you can let everybody know where that stuff is.
Yeah. I'm also Karen Lorre, Karen Lorre on YouTube, and
Cool.
Twitter is a good place to find me more than Facebook, because Facebook only lets you have 5,000 people or something. So it's I get like 700 friend requests a day. So I miss people all the time. You can get my books for free if you want. They are on Amazon, and the first book is on Audible. I narrated it. But if you just want to read just want to check it out or get just the PDF of it, you go to Chronic, CHRONIC, Pleasure, PLEASURE, book, BOOK.com. So chronicpleasurebook.com. You can get my books downloaded for free. And
Yeah, well, and to be honest though, I would say you got to buy the physical copy, because we just talked about blue light. It's not great for you. Buy the physical copy of her book.
Yeah. Well, the Audible version is good on the
there
first
you go.
Because that book, I wrote it. I write all my books in love, and then I narrate it in love. So people get a lot from the audiobooks too.
You might even get more because you've added more to it. I like the audiobook. I like the audiobook a lot. So well, thank you, Karen. This has been wonderful. We'd love to speak to you again sometime.
Thank you so much, Glen and Robert. I really appreciate you both. So fun.
Yeah. All right. Well, thank you. Everybody have a safe week, and we'll talk to you guys next.